There are cities in this world that were never designed for human life. Places where logic says no one should live. Where temperature can kill in minutes. Where the sun disappears for months. And where the air you breathe slowly damages the body from the inside. That city is called Norilsk. Here, cold is not just weather. It is a constant threat. Air is not just breath. It is invisible poison. And life is not routine, but a quiet struggle to survive one more day. Imagine living in a place where stepping outside without protection can injure your skin. Where the sky is often hidden behind industrial smoke. Where disease is not a question, but a certainty. And yet, hundreds of thousands of people stay. They work. They raise families. They build lives in this city. Why do humans remain in a place that slowly harms its own people? What keeps Norilsk alive, even as it demands a daily price from the body and from time itself? This is the story of the most dangerous city in the world and the people who live inside it. Norilsk stands deep within the Arctic Circle, in a region naturally hostile to human life. For months, the sun never rises. The city sinks into a long polar night without natural light. At the peak of winter, temperatures fall tens of degrees below 0 Celsius, cold enough to freeze exposed skin within minutes. Here, nature is not a backdrop. It is the first enemy faced every day. The ground beneath Norilsk is permanent permafrost. Buildings cannot stand like those in other cities. Standard foundations would crack and collapse as the ground shifts. So the entire city is forced to adapt. Special structures keep buildings from slowly sinking into the frozen earth. Water pipes run above ground, because if buried, the water inside would instantly freeze. Even the most basic infrastructure must submit to the laws of the Arctic. But cold and darkness are not the only challenges. Isolation turns Norilsk into a world cut off from civilization. There are no highways connecting it to major cities. Access in and out is extremely limited. For many, living here means existing in a place that is difficult to leave, physically and mentally. From the beginning, Norilsk was not only cold and dark, but closed and oppressive. Norilsk is not just a cold city. It is one of the most extreme industrial centers on Earth. Massive metal smelting complexes rise here. For decades, they have released toxic smoke into the air without pause. Every day, sulfur dioxide, heavy metals, and toxic particles are released into the atmosphere. They form thick clouds that often block the sky. Snow no longer falls white. It turns gray and brown, carrying poison that settles on the ground, on buildings, and inside human lungs. The air in Norilsk can feel heavy from the first breath outside. The smell of sulfur burns the nose, throats ache, eyes water. At times, pollution levels rise several times above safe limits. Residents keep windows closed year-round, not just to block the cold, but to survive air that can harm the body without warning. The damage happens slowly. Respiratory disease, skin disorders, heart problems, they become part of daily life. Many residents grow up with weakened health from a young age. Here, pollution is not a future threat. It is something inhaled every single day. Living in Norilsk means accepting consequences that are invisible, but real inside the body. From early childhood, many residents live with chronic coughing, shortness of breath, and reduced immunity. Children grow up breathing polluted air in extreme temperatures, forcing their bodies to function under abnormal conditions from the very start. As people age, the risks increase sharply. Lung disease, cardiovascular problems, internal organ damage. Long-term exposure to heavy metals and toxins does not kill instantly. It destroys slowly. The body may endure, but its functions decline in ways that cannot be fully reversed. Life expectancy in Norilsk reflects this harsh reality. Many residents know that staying longer means shortening their own lives, but choice is often an illusion. Jobs, income, life ties. They force people to remain in a city that quietly drains their health. In Norilsk, survival is not only about fighting the cold. It is about resisting an environment that erodes the human body every day. Life here is not about comfort. It is about learning how to endure. Residents do not choose the weather. They do not choose the air. And often, they do not choose their fate. Children grow up with little green space. Adults live in bodies constantly tested by cold and pollution. The elderly face old age with far greater health risks than in other cities. Many residents know this place is dangerous, but work, family, and obligation keep them here. Norilsk is not a city that is easy to leave. Every morning begins with routines that seem extreme to the outside world. Layering clothes, preparing the body, facing biting cold, stepping outside with the awareness that nature and the environment are never truly friendly here. Simple actions become daily struggles. And yet, within this slow destruction, the most human side of Norilsk emerges. Amid toxic air and extreme cold, people build communities. They look after one another. They search for meaning, no matter how small. They live not because Norilsk is kind, but because humans possess an extraordinary ability to adapt even in places that should never be inhabited. Daily life in Norilsk moves much like any other city. People wake up. They go to work. Children attend school. But everything happens under conditions that defy common sense. Extreme cold freezes metal. Buildings stand on permanently frozen ground. The sky is often wrapped in thick industrial smoke. Winter dominates most of the year, turning outdoor activity into a constant battle against nature itself. Walking outside for just a few minutes without proper protection is not merely uncomfortable. It can be dangerous. Homes are specially designed to retain heat and prevent foundations from collapsing due to permafrost. Public transport continues operating despite extreme temperatures, though it often stops when weather becomes too severe. Fresh food is scarce and expensive. Many residents rely on processed and imported supplies. Schools and workplaces rarely close. Extreme weather is not a reason to stop. It is simply part of life, accepted from childhood. For many, staying in Norilsk is not an emotional choice. It is an economic decision. The city sits atop one of the world's largest nickel and palladium mining regions. Industry provides the main source of employment. Salaries here are significantly higher than in many other parts of Russia, along with special compensation for extreme conditions. For some, working in Norilsk for a few years is seen as a fast track to financial stability, a way to earn money difficult to obtain elsewhere. High wages can change lives, but there is a cost that never appears on a payslip. Toxic air, heavy metals, endless winters. They slowly wear the body down. Respiratory disease, heart conditions, reduced life expectancy. Many workers arrive with short-term plans, only to leave with bodies that age faster than time itself. Norilsk is not just a cold, toxic city. It is an extreme reflection of human civilization, a measure of how far people are willing to endure for work, money, and a fragile sense of security. Here, resilience is no longer a choice. It is an obligation. Life exists on a thin line between survival and self-sacrifice. Norilsk asks a silent question few dare to answer. How much is a human life worth in the name of progress? And who truly pays the price?